Since everyone is tired of hearing about Dalvin Cook and they want to know about the guys on the team that need to be extended, we are going to talk about who on this team needs to get extended and what the money will look like. And I got some updates on Dalvin Cook. What is up, fans? I tried my best to do the intro without laughing. I know it's very annoying, but look, I take it as my job to you guys is whenever any news or anything comes to my desk, and I do have a desk. I have a nice little L desk here with all my camera equipment over here. But when any news comes to my desk, whether it's big breaking updating news or if it's just somewhat of an update, I feel like it's my obligation to give it to some of you guys, because you guys got to understand, to the people who are like, oh, I'm tired of Dalvin Cook. For one, a lot of people that are subscribed and a lot of people who are watching don't have Twitter. They don't care about social media stuff. So they kind of come to me to give them the updates. So if I get updates or if I get audio clips or if I get interviews or if I get stuff and you're just like, I don't care about this, Doug, I apologize, but I'm going to talk about it because of those people. But mostly if it's interesting, right? Because I've seen articles, I've seen things, I've heard things that are redundant, and I have not said those to you. But I do have a clip here of Dalvin Cook's agent on an interview, and I want to play it, and then we'll talk about it, and then we're going to get into who is due for contract extensions, and I'm going to talk money, and I'm going to talk a lot of things. So it's going to be very short. It's 57 seconds. Going to play it. We're going to listen to it, and we're going to move on. But before that, I just want to say, how are you doing? How you doing on this Tuesday? We're almost at the hump day. You got plans this weekend for the 4th of July. I think it really sucks that people have to go to work Monday and then they have off Tuesday. And you know what I'm saying? I wish it was more of a... I wish 4th of July was on a Monday. That would really help everyone out. Anyway, just wanted to see how you guys are doing. So, again, this is Dalvin Cook's agent. This is Mike. I'm not even going to try to butcher his last name, of Miami. And let's hear what Dalvin Cook's agent had to say.
Someone in our newsroom was saying, I wouldn't hate Dalvin in a Dolphins uniform. So what are the chances we could see him end up back here in South Florida?
Yeah, I mean, I think that, like you said, right, he's looking for a team that's in the win now mode and wants to go all the way, wants to win a Super Bowl. You know, playing in South Florida, he's definitely put up some pretty great numbers every time he seems to play in the state of Florida, and then even in that stadium in particular. You know, he did definitely miss out on the experience of playing for his hometown team when it came to college. And I know he always, you know, kind of felt like that was, you know, where he was supposed to play. So that definitely has been in the back of his mind his entire football career. And then, yeah, I mean, just going back to as far as like the entire process of people reaching out outside of just the teams, it's really incredible to see all the love on social media and the fans, and you know that really is important as well. So
essentially he's saying he wanted to play in Miami, he's wanting to play in Miami, and if things go right, he will play in Miami. That's what I got from it. And again, I've been telling you this stuff from jump. It's all about the Dolphins and Dalvin Cook coming to somewhat of an understanding, right? The length of a contract and the value of a contract. If those two can come to some type of understanding, if Dalvin wants this and the Dolphins are willing to pay him this and they can come to some type of understanding and agreement, he is a Dolphin, right? Say the Dolphins offer him a 3-year contract at a certain value, signing bonus, yada, yada, right? And the Jets offer him the same exact contract. He's going to the Dolphins. Say the Dolphins offer him a contract and the Patriots offer him the same exact to a T contract, he's going to the Dolphins. That's what it comes down to. If he has his choice, he wants to be a Dolphin. That's what we've heard. That's what we've heard from his agent. That's what we've heard from him, a perfect fit. But it all comes down to money and the length of the contract. And if the Dolphins are like, he's like, hey, I just got off the phone with the Jets, they're willing to pay me $10 million a year. The Dolphins are gonna be like, best of luck in New York. But again, he's waiting until July 17th because that is the deadline to give the extensions on these franchise tags. So he wants to see what's happening with Saquon. He wants to see what's happening with Pollard. He wants to see what's happening with Josh Jacobs. And then he'll make his decision. But again, just want to give you a little update on that. Now we'll move on to the title and the meat of the matter. Now, there are, in my mind right now, the Dolphins are looking at 4 players that need contract extensions. Now, there's a few that are free agent next year, like Nick Needham, Jerome Baker, those guys. But to me, they aren't in a desperate need for a contract extension. I don't feel like if they hit the free agent market, they're going to be gone like that. You looked at Mike Gesicki, right? Everyone thought, oh, if Mike Gesicki ever hits the free agent market, he's gone. It wasn't as quick for Mike Gesicki. It took him a hot minute to then eventually go to the New England Patriots. But there are 4 guys that I'm going to talk about. I'm going to talk about their contracts, where they can go, where the Dolphins might be looking at money-wise compared to the other people in their position. First and foremost, the thing I hear the most about going after Dalvin Cook, and I'm going to make a video about potential signings that the Dolphins could make or might make before training camp happens. That's a video I have planned for you guys. But a lot of what I hear is, why are you going to spend money on Dalvin Cook when you need to re-sign and you need to fill this and you need to fill that? I hear it constantly, even though I constantly say this, that giving these guys contract extensions clear up cap space. And I did the math. I went on Over the Cap. I went on Spot Track. I went on all these different sites. I did the math on what it will look like if the Dolphins gave, and the guys I'm talking about, Christian Wilkins, Zach Sealer, Connor Williams, and Robert Hunt, the contract extensions. The Dolphins would save $14.816 million. The Dolphins are sitting at around 13 point something million, right? So if they gave those 4 guys contract extensions, they'd be sitting at $27 million in cap space. And then you sign Dalvin Cook, and then you add the depth that they need in certain positions. Again, that's a video for another day. And you still have money to carry over to the season, God forbid, for reasons, I'm not going to say it, and into next offseason, so you can do what you got to do with free agents and your own free agents. So again, the notion that the Dolphins can't do anything because they have these guys they have to re-sign is not true. Re-signing these guys gives the Dolphins cap space. I just wanted to, again, 14.816 to re-sign the 4 guys. So again, I'm going to keep bringing that up. So I'm going to minimize myself because I want to show you guys some contracts. I want to talk about, the cheddar, the Mooney. Now, Ed Oliver, he got a contract extension recently. And I look at his contract extension and I like it a lot. This is something I wouldn't be upset with paying Christian Wilkins if he's okay with it, right? He got a 4-year, $68 million contract, including 14.75 signing bonus, 45.278 guaranteed, and average about 17 million. Now, again, you hear that, right? And a lot of times when you see these contracts, say you don't look at this bottom part, right? You don't look at any of this, and you just read this. That's normally what gets reported to you. 4 years, 68 million, 14.75 signing bonus, average $17 million a year. And you see that and go, oh, we're going to pay him $17 million a year. But then you look at it. He's getting 4.9 this year. He's getting 9.2 next year. He's getting 20.75 the following year. And then they can cut him and save 16 million after 2025. Or they could do a post June 1st and save 19. And this is the type of contract that the Dolphins love to do. Because again, if I pull up Tyreek Hill, if I pull up Bradley Chubb, if I pull up Teron Armstead, all of these guys, these big names, Jalen Ramsey, after 2024, the Dolphins can move on from them and do the same. Big chunk of change, huge chunk of change. And I like this type of contract for Christian Wilkins, right? because it gives him that out, but also he gets his money, right? It helps us this year, lower the cap space, starts to give him his money next year, and then he gets that $20 million he wants in the third year. And then if he doesn't produce, or if he doesn't continue to produce, they can move on after that third year. Because you look at Christian Wilkins, right? When it comes to his pass rush ability, I'm going to make myself a little bit bigger again, and then we're going to minimize again to look at other defensive tackles. When you look at his pass rush ability, it's not up there. 5 sacks last year, 22nd among defensive linemen. This is just among defensive linemen. This isn't among pass rushers and sack. This is stats I'm giving you are just defensive linemen. 22nd among defensive linemen. When it came to the PRP, which essentially is pressure added with the sacks added with the hits, it's like this average 33.2, which was 47th ranked. And when it came to hits, he only had 3 hits, which was 45th ranked, right? That's not great. But then you look at his run defense. Tackles, number 1 in the NFL among defensive linemen at 56 tackles. Again, 98 total. He had the other 42 on pass rushing. Number 1 in the NFL in stops on runs with 45. So his pass rush ability is not that high, but his run defense is really high, right? So I'm going to bring myself back down. Dexter Lawrence got a fat contract. Now, Dexter Lawrence's contract is... We're paying this man, right? Regardless, we're paying him. Dexter Lawrence still, and again, I'll show you the rankings of defensive tackles when it comes to their money. He got a 4-year, $87.5 million. He got a $22 million bonus. He's averaging 21.875 salary and 46.5 guaranteed at signing, and then total guarantee is 60. He is getting that 21.875 average. He is getting that. For the next 2 years, he is getting paid $21+ million for the next 2 years. And then again, they have that out after 2 years where they can cut him or trade him 15.6 post June 1st, which they'll probably do, $20 million. A lot of these teams like to do these contracts, but now if Christian Wilkins wants this type of contract, that's where the Dolphins right now might be having that hesitation with Christian Wilkins, because you heard the stats I gave you. Pass rush, meh. Rush defense, top 5. Then you look at Jeffrey Simmons. He got a contract from the Tennessee Titans. 4 years, $94 million. My dyslexia almost kicked in. $24 million signing bonus. He's averaging $23.5 million. Guaranteed at signing 47.83, and total is 59.33. And again, he is getting his money. Now, his average salary isn't right up there, but he's getting 21.8, 22.8. And again, you got that out after two years, 15 or 20. Again, they'll probably do a post June 1st if he doesn't pan out and they need to move off from his contract. These two, Dexter Lawrence and Jeffrey Simmons, are probably what Christian Wilkins is looking at. He's like, look how much they're making. Look at what they are doing. I feel like I deserve that. And then you look at Ed Oliver, who was drafted in the same year as him, a few picks ahead of him. That's the contract that the Dolphins are probably looking at. Like, look, we'll give you an average of $17 million a year, because you go on Spot Track and you look, and the average for him is like $19.4 million. We'll give you around $17 million a year, and maybe $18 million a year. But I don't know if we're willing to pay you $21 or $23 million a year. Because you look here, right? When you go on PFF, and again, PFF, you could take it or leave it, but they kind of rank them, and I like that because it gives me an idea of where I can look. Christian Wilkins was ranked 9th out of 127 defensive linemen. So that's around here, around Vita Vea, who got around $17.75 million. I'm not upset with paying Christian Wilkins around $17.75 million. If your production matches your money, I'm fine with that. But if he wants 5th ranked money in the NFL, you answer in the comment section. Is he as good as DeForest Buckner? Is he as good as Javon Hargraves? Is he as good as Dexter Lawrence? Is he as good as this income? Or down here around the $17 million income? Again, there's Ed Oliver. I like the Ed Oliver contract. But again, he is not the only one who needs a contract extension. You also have Zach Steeler. Zach Steeler's a little different, right? He was better than Christian Wilkins. I'm gonna make myself bigger because now I'm gonna have a little conversation with you one-on-one. Zach Steeler was a little bit better when it came to his pass rushing, right? He had one less sack with 4, whereas Christian Wilkins had 5. He had 8 hits to Christian Wilkins' 3. So 45th ranked for Christian Wilkins, 20th ranked with his 8 hits. He got to the quarterback a little bit more. And his PRP was a little bit higher with 3.5 versus Christian Wilkins' 3.2. But when it came to the rush defense, that's where Steeler was a little bit below Wilkins, but that's why our rush defense was so good last year. 3rd in tackles. There's only one person between him and Christian Wilkins. And 4th in 2nd in stops, right behind Christian Wilkins. He had, I think it was like 30-something stops, whereas Christian Wilkins had 45 stops. And when you come to like look at his average, they're saying about $9.9 million a year. But let me minimize myself again. You look at his ranking, he's the 21st rank out of 127 defensive linemen. So you come down here to 21st ranked, 8 million, 10 million. But can you pay both of these guys around 17 million and around 8 million, right? That's, 25 million for your 2 defensive tackles / D linemen. That's where the Dolphins are at right now, and that's why the move on re-signing these guys isn't as quick, because they have to think, are we going to re-sign both Christian Wilkins and Zach Steeler? Are we going to bring them both back? Or do we want to pay for the lesser guy who's almost as productive, if not a little bit more productive in certain areas? Or do we want to pay our first round pick a few years ago? And that's where what you guys got to think about too. What's your thought process on this? Christian Wilkins is going to cost you about $19.4 million, give or take, again, depending on where he wants to be paid. And Zach Steeler is going to be around $8 million, $9 million, and their productivity is kind of the same. The only difference is Christian Wilkins had more tackles. He had, when it came to, I think altogether, he had like 20-something more tackles, and he had more stops on defense. So there's those 2 guys, right? There's your DTs. Now we go to Connor Williams. Now, Connor Williams was the 4th ranked center out of 36 centers. So we go over here and we're looking at centers. He was the 4th ranked. So you're looking at, around here, $12.5 million average a year. Signed a 4-year, $50 million contract. That's Ryan Kelly. You have Ryan Jensen. Signed a 3-year, $39 million. He's getting $13 million a year. This is where you're looking. But even like your top guy who got the most money, 5 years, $62.5, he's getting average $12.5 million a year. With Connor Williams, I could see. Let me see what Ryan Jensen's contract looks like. Right, because his cap hit's only a 5.9 here, and then his cap hit gets big, and they can move on. I could see that being a possibility. Sign him to a 3-year contract, give him a signing bonus this year, drop that cap space down, pay him his money, and a good portion next year, and then you can move on. That's what you're looking at for Connor Williams. You can see the average cap and all that stuff. And then you have Robert Hunt, who was 12th ranked out of 77 guards, which would put him right around Justin Pugh, who got about $8.9 million, and they're guesstimating he's worth $8.5 million a year. That's not too bad. I can't believe, real quick, Lincoln Tomlinson is getting $13.3 million from the Jets. I want to just double check. I saw that and it blew my mind. Well, a little bit, but again, they can move on after this year. But yeah, you're looking around here, around $12 million is his production, $8.5 million in a cap hit. So these are the guys that, to me, you don't let hit free agency. To me, Connor Williams, Robert Hunt, and Christian Wilkins, I don't think you let hit free agency if you want to keep them. If you don't want to keep him, trade him now. Get something for him now. Now, I'm not saying this is what I want to do, but like Christian Wilkins, if you can't come to an understanding, or you're like, look, we're just going to, because what they also could do with Christian Wilkins is they could franchise tag him next year. It's going to be about $20 million next year. And if you look at it, that's $15 million. You know, you split the 20 and the 10, $30 million altogether over these past 2 years, paid him about $15 million a year. They could do that, and then they can really decide if he continues to be productive. Okay, we'll give him that contract. But then if, you know, the pass rush isn't there and the rush defense is there, you're like, look, you're a one-dimensional defensive tackle. We're not going to pay you as big as these other guys who are all around better defensive tackles. You know, Javon Hargraves, Dexter Lawrence, you know, Jeffrey Simmons. These guys are all around defensive tackles. But comment below. Let me know what you guys think. Who do you want to bring back, Christian Wilkins and Zach Sealer, especially if you can get them for about $25 million for the both of them? What's your thoughts on Connor Williams and Robert Hunt? Their cap value, give or take, you know, I think I said Connor Williams is around $12 million, Robert Hunt around $8.5 million. And what's your thoughts on what Dalvin Cook's agent had to say? But that's what I got for you today. Tomorrow, I think we're going to jump into tight ends. It's going to be a short video. We don't have many tight ends. So if you want to be in comment of the day, leave a comment below, and you'll be in tomorrow's video. I'll pick one of you guys. Or if you want, like I said, send me a video. Whether an email or a DM, send me a video if you want to be in comment of the day. And then, you know, we'll throw you in there. But other than that, I'll see you guys tomorrow. But like usual, stay classy. Fins up.